Americans should not have to worry about where their next meal will come from. Yet in 2020, 6.8% or 5.2 million older Americans were food insecure. And in my state of New York, an estimated 7.6% of older adults are food insecure. Older adults of racial and ethnic minorities and those who live below the poverty line are disproportionately impacted by food insecurity. Food insecurity can impair nutrition, increasing the likelihood of chronic health conditions among older adults and reducing capacity for active, healthy, and independent life. I recently sent a bipartisan letter that Senator Sanders and two members of Congress co-led with me to appropriators requesting that the final fiscal year 23 appropriations bill include $1.93 billion in funding for older Americans. The Older Americans Act programs and the Older Americans Act Title IIIC nutrition services, which critically support the delivery of nutritious meals to older adults throughout the country. Mr. Everett, thank you for sharing some of your work in promoting affordable and healthy food. How would strong OAA funding improve Baylor's collaborative on hunger and poverty's threefold strategy for cultivating solutions to end hunger? How can strong OAA funding booster multi-sectoral cooperation?
Thank you, Senator. To begin with, I would say if one way in which this is going to have a huge impact is that families or senior adults who are grand families. So this was an issue that came up earlier, and I just want to say the importance of this particular intervention for grand families. First of all, we're trying to, if you think about the average individual at a household level and the insurmountable issues that they're trying to overcome, this particular funding, if they don't have access to transportation or limited access to transportation, this funding provides resources to get food directly to their front porches through food box programs, through Meals on Wheels interventions. And so without those supports, that is going to put an additional amount of stress on that household who's living on a fixed income, which is also going to put stress on those children who are being raised in those contexts. We know that that healthy children, need adequate access to food as well. So this particular funding package would increase resources to the individual on the local level, which would have a downstream effect not only on the positive impacts of health, but the quality of life for children that they're oftentimes finding themselves raising.
Well, thank you very much. In terms of barriers to healthy food access, a lot of older adults live with at least one chronic condition and take medications that often result in unique nutritional considerations. These conditions can create barriers in an individual's ability to access programs like SNAP and the senior farmers markets and food banks. Lack of transportation can also hinder access to healthy meals. Limited access to reliable transportation, especially in rural areas, further complicates the more than 20% of older adults who do not drive. Finally, home-delivered meal programs are challenged by long-distance costs and limited working age population in rural communities. To help bridge this gap, 84% of area agencies on aging offer nutrition programs to better provide for older adults. To Dr. Temitope Walker, based on your experience working with Georgia's 12 area agencies on aging, how important is the role that the area agencies on aging play in assisting older adults in accessing healthy and affordable food?
The area agencies on aging are truly the backbone of the work. They know their counties and what the needs are in Georgia, for instance. I mean, we have an interesting mix of urban and rural spaces throughout the state with 159 counties. There's a lot of diversity of need, and things are spread out, and some things are very close. And so the AAAs are a critical connection for us to be able to understand where those pockets of senior centers are, and also the other supportive placements of other organizations in those areas, and so that allows for that partnership. One of the great things for us is we have 12 senior hunger coalitions that are part of these AAAs, which allows us to invite nonprofits, for-profits, seniors, our staff, senior centers, and staff from those area agencies on aging to come together to actually understand what the gaps are, the resources and opportunities are in those different regions. So our work would not happen, really, without the work of those AAAs providing that groundwork on what's happening in those regions.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this hearing.
Senator Gillibrand. We'll now move to close the